Okay. Checking in again today for the purposes of keeping myself accountable and honest, and on target, so that I sign my day off. The last thing I do is making the main thing the main thing. I believe that there is a great power in, if you have a dream or something that you are striving for, if you sign off your days regularly, with that being the last thing you think about, it's the thing that your mind will be working on in your subconscious when you're sleeping, and you are more likely to be continuing that train of thought when you wake up in the morning. I believe a lot of my downfall, a lot of my mistakes and errors have come from not signing off on my day, doing other things, allowing myself to get distracted, and in turn, throwing my schedule out of whack, going to bed later, wasting time, borrowing from tomorrow to benefit today, whereas it should be the other way around, where you are working today to set up success tomorrow. So here I am, keeping myself accountable as the last thing, even though it is currently 1 a.m. at time of recording. I'm still house sitting. I've got a couple more days of house sitting, and then I'll be back at my normal place. How am I doing at the moment? Did my budget today for the year. Set some financial goals up. I apologize for all the moving around. I guess I have energy. And I know, so I did my budget and I broke down exactly what I need to work in order to fund the life that I want to live. And it's perfectly well within my means. I just have to live quite sparingly, modestly, frugally. I have to be pretty frugal with my money this year. Maybe that's the name for my budget, as I would describe it, is frugal. Have a Google of frugal, Frugal. I'm always into expanding my vocabulary, and because it allows me to communicate better. Side note, so I've done my budget, and with plans to move across the country in pursuit of my dream career, which is acting. There is a lot of work that needs to do before then, but I've done the budget to figure out how to afford it, on top of my other current expenses. I'm currently working on how can I be the best that I can be, the best teammate, the best everything. I'm reading a book at the moment called The One Thing by Gary Keller, I think it is. I've seen a couple of quite high-profile leaders of their respective fields reading it, and they said it was a great help. One of them in particular, who got me onto it to begin with, he goes by the name Chris Bumstead, also known more locally as C-Bum, the 6-time Mr. Olympia champion, recently retired. And he said essentially the focus of the book is, how do you not let yourself be distracted in a world that has social media, that has you thinking that you need to apply to all these emails, you need to apply to these messages. You can never shut off. I actually crave a time that I never came from, which is the time before smartphones were a thing, where you could focus purely on the thing that is in front of you, because I realized just how fucking shredded my attention span is. With smartphone usage, it's always dinging, always stealing your attention, and our ability to focus has never been worse, and I in particular, it is bad. So I would say across the globe, our attention span has reduced significantly. I, on top of that, even more so. So part of reading The One Thing is because it is a physical book, and like I said, I'm going to tape my fucking phone to it. I haven't done that. but I've been carrying the book with me everywhere. So when I have those small spare moments, I have been more often than not opting to read the book as opposed to jumping on my phone. Now, as a kid, used to read books all the time, and I loved it. I loved them. Couldn't get enough of them. I remember I went to Sydney as on holiday with my family, and I was incredibly young. I was maybe 9 years old or 11 years old, and I don't remember much from that trip. I just remember walking around, holding onto one of my parents' hands, and I'd walk around. I had a book in my hands, and we walked all around Sydney, went to these shops and other locations. And I don't really remember because I spent the entire time reading a book, a series. It's a great series. I can't remember what the series is called. 365 was the series. And every month a new book would come out. From January, it was called January. Then the second book was called February, March, April, May, June, July. For the whole year. And I was obsessed with them. So that's all I did. Reading this book, The One Thing, is hard. It's difficult and it's depressing because I have such a reference point from when I was a kid as to my attention span then, how it was, and how I got my first smartphone. I think I was 14. How 12 on the border of 13 years of having a smartphone, what it has done to my attention span, and it is bad. It's really bad. So I'm trying to get into reading again. Sorry, I keep hearing the cats doing something, and I just want to make sure that they're not doing something that they shouldn't be doing, because they're my responsibility. So I've done my budget. I am setting my goals. I am still working on the belief, operating under the belief that we choose who we become. And there's a can of worms to unpack there, because I think what I did last year was I left things to chance. And I've been sitting on this for a couple of days now, where I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to leave anything up to chance. Obviously, chance will always be a factor, but I guess I would equate it to you go on to a game show like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but they give you 6 months heads up. How much prep are you going to do? Obviously, you will never know the questions. But would you prep in any way that you can possible to increase your chances of winning? Obviously, you would. So that's kind of what I'm doing this year in terms of acting. Why would I leave anything up to chance? Why not give myself the best chance possible? So as far as acting or my process goes, that's my focus. Being diligent, fanatical attention to detail. I would love to emulate performances of the caliber, of the tone and vein of actors like Jake Gyllenhaal. Timothy Chalamet's pretty fucking good. Jake Gyllenhaal, Timothy Chalamet, Denzel Washington, Anthony Hopkins. Like I can keep going, and like you get what I'm saying. The list is kind of arbitrary. Although Jake Gyllenhaal specifically, I do love his work. And I have not yet committed to the level of obsession that allows me to put on a truly magnificent performance. I don't actually think I've ever even put on a great performance, to be honest. I think I've always put on good ones. Now, it is up in the air currently whether I'm meeting with agents, and I'll be represented given the opportunity to be represented in front of agency by the school, because the school still needs to decide whether they think how I went with, or where I'm at currently is marketable. I could choose to indulge in that fear. I could choose to indulge in the unknown, the anxiety of it all, the drama. I'm not going to do that. I can only control that which I can control, which is what's right in front of me. I'm kind of rambling on a bit. What I'm trying to say is my future is unknown. So I'm just going to put my best foot forward. One day at a time. And as this book says, in terms of making the one thing, it asks the question, what is the one thing that I can do right now that by doing it will make everything else easier and more something? I can't remember exactly. I haven't finished the book. So if I can't quote it after I finish the book, then there's a problem and I need to go back and read it again. But it's like, you ask that question. In my finances, in my personal life, in my relationships, in my job, what is the one thing that I can do that by doing it as such will make everything else easier and something? So framing that to make the main thing, to focus on the one thing that's going to make me successful. Asking myself that question over and over and over again. That's what I'm doing. Keep attacking my ego left, right, and center. I'm not disheartened at all. I'm actually I'm perking up. I'm getting my spirit back. I think the bruises from that my artist child has sustained through the abuse that I kind of gave to him over the last 2-3 months are healing, and he needs time to rest. That said, I'm getting up early. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow because that is my routine. That's healing. Altering my training a bit because, yes, my training is that of a bodybuilder, but I am not a bodybuilder. I'm an actor. I need to be fit for purpose. So I will be altering my training this year, continuing to go to the gym to keep myself grounded, but the kind of training that I will undertake will be that of not a purely aesthetically based background that is bodybuilding. More strength based, more endurance, more injury prevention, more balance, more range of motion, duration, general strength. Anyway, that's it. I feel like I've just talked non-stop. Time to go to bed. It's 1 a.m. It's past 1 a.m. That's probably like 1:15. So I'll let you guys go. And I'll catch you tomorrow, probably. I will catch you tomorrow. I have to. Otherwise, I'm not taking every chance I can get. I want to be successful. I want to be one of the world's best actors. Now that is an incredibly bold thing to say, because if I don't follow it up, then it proves that is spoken in arrogance. If I follow it up and I give my best fucking effort, then it is sincere. So only the future will tell. It's a dangerous thing to say. Okay. See you tomorrow.